First of all, let me start this video off by saying I appreciate everyone who showed love to my last video. I know the Cardinals YouTube community is generally a small one, so for me to get this much love off of one of my first videos is a blessing. Thank you guys. Now I came to deliver on my promise, bringing you guys a part 2 to tell you why I think the Arizona Cardinals will go from worst to first. The Cardinals defense is an interesting topic, and for most casual fans that peruse through the Cardinals roster, most of our guys just look like guys in them. And while they're technically not wrong, they're not right either. Everybody has to start from somewhere, and while that may seem grim, let me give you an example of a team that did exactly what the Cardinals are trying to do. Well, exactly is a stretch, but generally the same idea. This is gonna sound crazy, but the team that I'm talking about is the reigning Super Bowl champs, the Kansas City Chiefs, who in 1 year went from being the 16th ranked defense in the league to the 2nd. Now, admittedly, we have more work to do than they did. And in the most likely scenario, we won't go from having the 31st ranked defense in the league to having the best, but the good news is we don't need that to happen for our team to be dominant. For example, the year that the Rams won the Super Bowl, they had the 15th ranked defense and the 9th ranked offense, meaning that you don't have to have the best of both worlds to go from worst to first. When your offense is elite, your defense simply just needs to be able to hold up. Now back to the Chiefs. In 2022, the Chiefs defense was composed of guys like Chris Jones, Darius, Justin Reed, Frank Clark, Leo Chenal, and 4 rookies. Very similarly to the Cardinals, who in 2023 had 4 rookies start for majority of the year, and BJ Ojulari, Dante Stills, Garrett Williams, and Starling Thomas. I consider Zaven to be a rookie, but we'll talk about that later. Now, there are certain things that the Chiefs had that the Cardinals didn't. For instance, Chris Jones, one of the most dominant defensive players in the league. He's a nightmare matchup for any offensive lineman and elevates everybody on the Chiefs defense just by literally existing. The second thing that the Chiefs had that the Cardinals didn't have is Darius. The Cardinals did not have a number 1 corner on the roster last year. Now, the difference between the Chiefs roster in 2022 and 2023 is minuscule. The only thing that really changed other than a few players was time. And with time, their young guys developed into dogs, and that brought them from the 16th best defense in the league to the 2nd best. And what people have to understand about football, defensively more than offensively, the most important things that a defense can have other than actual personnel that hits the field is intangibles and chemistry. And even though the Cardinals defense was at the bottom of the league last year, JG does a good job of instilling those intangibles into his players. The Cardinals' newly added corner, Sean Murphy Bunting, spoke about this in a recent interview when he was asked what intrigued him about JG's defense. And this is what he said.
How much research did you do on the Arizona Cardinals defense? How much research did you do on JG and Nick Rawlis?
I did a lot, I remember at the combine when I was coming out, I actually interviewed with JG. So I remembered him from there, understanding what they did and who they were, in the past. Even when he was in Indiana or Indianapolis, they were like top in the league for takeaways and turnovers. But I remember when we played against them, that's all our offense harped on was how much they punched at the ball, how many turnovers they created, how guys flew around and got to the ball. There was all these tangibles and things that you don't teach that these guys had all the time: hustle, grit, all that type of thing.
Anybody that watched the Cardinals last year was able to see that these very same intangibles were instilled into the team's culture last year. Call the Cardinals defense trash all you want, and you're probably right, but one thing that people cannot say about this team is that they didn't play hard. The Cardinals defense was the 4th ranked defense in the league when it came to the fewest missed tackles with 73. Only the Bengals, Niners, and Cowboys were better. There are not many other stats where the Cardinals were highly ranked last year because, to be honest, the defense was pitiful stat-wise. And there are reasons for that. 1, the Cardinals didn't have a pass rush. No NFL defense in history has ever been competent without pressuring the QB. 2, the Cardinals didn't have a number 1 cornerback, or a number 2 cornerback at that. And when you have no pass rush and you can't cover anybody, your defense essentially becomes a World War II war zone. Bombs everywhere. And if your pass defense sucks and your run defense sucks, your defense sucks. Now, that you've heard that, you probably think, yeah, there's no way the Cardinals can go from worst to first. And you're probably right, but you're wrong. The goal here is not to go from the 31st ranked defense in the league to the first ranked defense in the league. While that would be great, and I'm not going to rule it out, the goal is to go from the worst defense in the league to at least average. And I believe this offseason, the Cardinals GM, Monty Ossenford, had a plan in mind, and the first step of that plan was to beef up the front seven to make sure nobody runs the ball down our throat like they did last season. This offseason and free agency and the draft, the Cardinals added 7 guys to their front seven, 5 defensive linemen and 2 linebackers. And one thing you have to understand about Monty Ossenford, before we get started, he's not the type of GM that's going to go out there and overspend on big name guys. He wants guys who love football, who have high character, and that can contribute to the overall development and growth of the team, not only on game day, but on the practice field and in the locker room. He wants to breed competition because competition facilitates growth. The Cardinals started off the offseason by adding 2 solid veteran defensive linemen in Bilal Nichols and Justin Jones. And while these aren't flashy signings, they might be the very thing that the Cardinals need right now. Interior defensive line for the majority is a very inglorious position to play. Looking at stats isn't really gonna do these guys justice when it comes to what they actually bring to the field. D linemen are like janitors. They do the dirty work so everybody else on the defense could come in and get the easy job done. What I can say about Justin and Bilal is that they are 2 defensive linemen who are very stout against the run. Neither of them have missed a game in 2 seasons, and they are both proven leaders. Justin Jones even being nominated for a Walter Payton Man of the Year award in 2023. And while that may not get your hopes up, remember we added 5 other guys. Some solid depth at nose tackle with Kyrus Tonga, and they brought back LJ Collier, who was having a really solid training camp and preseason with the Cardinals before he tore his bicep in the season opener. And with the 27th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Cardinals selected the Senior Bowl standout, Darius Robinson, the edge rusher from Missouri, but he projects to play interior defensive line for the Cardinals this year. Darius Robinson might be one of the biggest freaks in the draft, standing at 6'5", weighing 290 pounds. What Darius brings to the field is no joke, and I think he'll really benefit from moving from edge to defensive tackle. Why, you ask? It's simple. The majority of the time Darius wins is with length, heavy hands, and power moves. What he doesn't have so much of is speed and bend, which is usually a calling card for edges in the NFL. That doesn't mean he's slow. Darius Robinson is explosive, and he might be better than you think year one. He already has all the intangibles that you look for in a player. He took time in an interview after the draft to speak to the media about his preparation, and this will give you an idea of where this guy's head is at.
How's your mental preparation? That's my end. Saturday, I'm probably at the facility. I just got out of the cold tub. I'm watching the game. Sunday, I'm going to church. After I get my lift in, I'm going back upstairs, watch the game one more time. After that, I let it go. Then I go home and I watch the last 4 games of the team about to play. When I watch that game, I'm looking at their tendencies. I'm looking at where the tight end is at. If I get a run pass key, what do the alignments look like? Monday and Tuesday is my run day, so I'm looking at their top 3 runs and what does it look like and where it's coming at. And then basically if I play a 5 technique or a 4-eye, what block would I get? Then we get to Wednesday and Thursday, that's my pass rush day. So for me, I'm always thinking about my tracks. So my tracks is, if I'm on my speed track, that means I'm 2 yards outside, whatever alignment, and then my aiming point is 4 yards behind his back foot. So now I'm thinking how I'm gonna set him up. Or if I go on my power track, I go 2 by 2. I'm 2 yards outside the tackle, and I'm aiming 2 yards behind his foot and thinking about how I'm gonna set him up. As long as I get to that point before he gets there, and make it fast and violent. Then we get to Friday. Friday is just takeaways. I want to see all the ball strikes. I want to see the ball coming out. Saturday, I walk out and I just feel more confident than ever because I know guys are not getting reps mentally.
He's locked in on a different level. Darius Robinson is an absolute beast against the run, and it's rare that I watch a Darius Robinson play where he's one-on-one with another lineman and he's not pushing them into the backfield. And that can help a lot when it comes to the Cardinals pass rush problems, because the best type of pressure to get on the quarterback is interior pressure, because that flushes the QB out of the pocket, leading to more sacks for edge rushers. Darius can do what he did to offensive linemen at the Senior Bowl in the NFL for even a quarter of the amount of the time that he's on the field. This front seven is is going to be in for a massive improvement. And after the draft, the Cardinals added Myles Murphy, a solid UDFA out of UNC. Now let's talk about the linebacker. With the 138th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals added the rookie out of Clemson, Xavier Thomas, who is honestly an athletic freak that's dealt with plenty of setbacks in his college career. But if he can reach his ceiling in the NFL, he might be something serious. And in free agency, the Cardinals added a new fan favorite, Mack Wilson, the off-ball linebacker who played last season with the Patriots, who in a very limited role last year had 3.5 sacks, 4 QB hits, and 37 tackles. He's in a competition with a few other guys I'll be bringing up in this video. We also brought back Chris Barnes, who was very solid for us in 6 starts last year. He had 55 tackles, 3 TFLs, and an INT. While these guys may not be flattering, they may be exactly what the Cardinals need, but that's not it. Remember what I said about the Chiefs young guys taking that step in year 2 and becoming absolute dogs? We have some guys on our team who are in a prime position to do the same thing. Let me start off with Zaven Collins. And you're like, what? And Zaven Collins is going to his 4th year in the league. How is he supposed to take a year 2 leap? Well, it's simple, really. It may be his 4th year, but this is only his 2nd year at edge, and the versatility that Zaven brings to the front 7 is elite. To start off, Zaven, despite it being his 1st year as an edge defender, he boasted a 73.9 run support PFF grade with 6 TFLs and 41 tackles. Zaven grabbed 3.5 sacks and 12 pressures last year, simply by just running around with his head on fire. Zaven had absolutely no clue how to pass rush, being thrown into a new position mid-off-season by a new coaching staff, yet he took it and he did his best and he ran with it. But I'm confident with a year under his belt and an off-season to prepare, this year's Zaven Collins is going to be a lot different. Zaven just adds a few pass rush moves to his arsenal to jump from year 1 to year 2 and be astronomical. His teammate Dennis Gardeck has already seen some improvement.
He already had experience. He knows everything that he's looking at. Coverage-wise is great. Seeing him cut it loose and just you get to, because I kind of did the inside to outside transition as well. You're not as responsible for quite as much, you know. When you're off the ball, you got to make guys right. Being able to explain to him, hey, you got somebody to make you right. Go set your hair on fire and enjoy kind of the freedom of being up on the line. You get to be more aggressive, and you know you got people behind you that are gonna, if something does happen, they can fix it. So seeing him take that, because he's a big dude, and when he just goes, there's no stopping him. So it's cool to see.
With the type of athlete he is and the versatility in coverage, even snagging a pick last year, if he can put it all together, the league will be on notice. And on the opposing side, we have the pass rusher BJ Ojulari, which Cardinals DC Nick Rallis and OC Drew Petz have said they have already seen some big differences in his game.
And I was just talking to Petzing about it. Like, he was like, man, I can see BJ's taking a step already in just a couple practices.
Wow.
Just in the run game, setting violent edges, playing low, using his length, getting separation, hitting the ball, and then winning his rushes. So I'm excited about BJ.
BJ already had an arsenal of pass rush moves coming into the league. What he needed to work on going into the offseason was his play strength, and it seems as if he's done that. BJ finished last year with 4 sacks, 6 QB hits, 5 TFLs, while not even starting for 1 game. The former 2nd rounder was talked about as one of the most talented edge rushers in the draft last year. It only makes sense he takes a jump, right? Moving on to the interior of the defensive line, in the 6th round last year, the Cardinals selected Dante Stills, whose stats don't do him justice. He was always there when the team needed him the most. He racked up 3.5 sacks, 5 TFLs, and 5 QE hits. If he could take a step in year 2, Cardinals defense will greatly benefit on behalf of that. While these stats may not seem impressive, we're going to give you a few examples of rookie defensive linemen / edge rushers that took a step in year 2, so we can know what type of jump to expect. Since I started off the video talking about the Chiefs, let's talk about their 2023 1st round draft pick, defensive end from Purdue, George Karlaftis, who in his rookie season had 6 sacks, 8 TFLs, and 11 QB hits. In the year after that, he had 10.5 sacks, 7 TFLs, and 17 QB hits. For the second example, let's travel to the Big Apple, where the New York City Giants drafted Oregon edge Kayvon Thibodeau. In his rookie season, racked up 4 sacks, 49 tackles, 6 TFLs, 13 QB hits, and 14 games started. And in the second year, he improved those numbers to 11.5 sacks, 50 tackles, 12 TFLs, and 16 QB hits.
Okay, but this is the type of jump you expect from a 1st round pick. BT O'Leary is a 2nd rounder.
Shut up, bitch!
For the last example, let's stay in the NFC West. In the second round of the 2023 draft, the Seahawks selected the Minnesota edge rusher Boye Mafe. In his rookie year, racked up 3 sacks, 3 TFLs, and 41 tackles. Compared to his second year, he racked up 9 sacks, 9 TFLs, and 16 QB hits. And by the way, DJ Ojulari is a way better prospect than Boye Mafe was coming out of the draft, in my opinion. Now that you see the difference how much a year can make, especially when the game slows down for these guys, once it does, there will be so much more plays to be made. And it doesn't stop there. The Cardinals still have golden veteran pass rusher Dennis Gardeck, who had 6 sacks last year, 12 QB hits, Victor Dimikeji, who snagged 4 sacks, and one of my favorites, Jesse Luketa, who plays like an absolute madman. Just wants to hit anything in the vicinity with a pulse. This group may seem like donkey ass right now, but check back at the end of the season, I promise you, it'll be a different story. And of course, I cannot forget about our war daddy, Kaiser White, who played out of his mind last season before he tore his bicep. Before Kaiser got injured, he had 90 tackles, 9 TFLs, 2 sacks, 3 pass deflections, and a game-saving INT versus the Cowboys. Much respect to Kaiser. I know for a fact that if he stays healthy, he's gonna ball and get paid next season. Do not sleep on Kaiser White. Another guy that I did not mention that could possibly take a jump in year 2 and compete for the weak side linebacker spot next to Kaiser is the freak athlete linebacker we drafted last year out of Auburn, Owen Peppo, who ran a 4.39 at the combine, the second fastest recorded 40 by a linebacker ever. He didn't get much PT last year, but if he can put it together and compete for snaps, we could be looking at a diamond in the rough. Now on to the secondary. The other thing that the Cardinals lack in 2023, I believe they added in 2024, is a CB1, their very own Darius Sneed, aka Sean Murphy Bunting. And before you guys get in a big uproar, oh man, Sean Murphy Bunting is nowhere near as good as Darius Sneed. Bunting is a bum. Remember that in 2022, Sean Murphy was a really good corner, bringing in 2 INTs, 7 pass deflections, and a forced fumble only in 12 games. And for the majority of his time with the Titans, he was playing out of position, limiting him from playing his best ball. From SMB himself, he's an outside press corner with the versatility to play inside. That's why I believe when he was playing with the Bucs, he thrived. I expect to see the same guy, if not a better version of AZ this year. And through the draft, the Cardinals added 3 corners to the cornerback room with Max Melton, Elijah Jones, and Jaden Davis. And if you follow me on Instagram at CardsCamp, seriously, if you don't follow me, go follow me. But that's besides the point. I've been pounding the table for us to go draft Max Melton for 2 seasons. And when we did, I was hyped. After I saw how well he did against our very own Maserati Marv, holding him to 4 catches and 25 yards, I knew he had that dog in him. The aggressiveness that he played with coming downhill as a corner is rare. And he has fantastic ball skills, snagging 8 picks in 3 years for Rutgers. We may have gotten the most underrated corner in the draft. And in the 3rd round, we selected the lone corner out of Boston College, Elijah Jones, who's also a very fluid player, and he's a ball hawk, snagging 5 picks in only 9 games for BC last year. And in the 7th round, the Cardinals took a flyer on Jaden Davis, who I think would really benefit from transitioning from corner to safety, because goddamn, that boy can hit. And the guys that are in position to take year 2 jumps are no other than Garrett Williams, Starlin Thomas, and Keitrell Clark. Holy, this cornerback room is deep. In the 3rd round of the 2023 NFL draft, the Cardinals drafted Garrett Williams, who only slipped that far because he tore his ACL in the middle of his senior season. Oh man, it was a big mistake allowing us to get our hands on this guy. GW just plays the nickel position so instinctually and so smooth. I'm excited to see what he can do next season with a full offseason healthy, not rehabbing from the ACL. I got a feeling that his year 2 jump might be the best from the bunch. Starling Thomas is a diamond in the rough that teams rarely find. He came in off of waivers, getting cut from the Lions, and ended up having a pretty solid season for us last year, starting 7 games and getting 5 PBUs and 35 solo tackles. And last but not least, Keitrell Clark. I don't know what it is about Keitrell. He didn't have the best season last year, but it's just something about him when he hits the field. He has this it factor. Like, I just feel like he's gonna make a play. He's an undersized guy, but he's not afraid to come downhill and lay the boom on a motherfucker. And he has this explosive quick twitchiness that is rare, even in the best athletes. I wouldn't be shocked if Keitrell and Max Melton are competing for a CB2 spot this entire offseason. Like I said, this cornerback room is super deep, and it's all extremely hungry young guys, and that competition will breed success Yes, there's no doubt in my mind about it. And last but not least, the Cardinals have the best safety duo in the league in Budda Baker and Jalen Thompson. Yes, I said it, the best safety duo in the league, in my opinion. They are both top 10 players at their respective position, and I know a casual fan is like, who is Jalen Thompson? Now, if you don't know, let me show you. Jalen Thompson is the guy who in 15 games had 4 sacks, 9 pass deflection, and 78 tackles. With the positional versatility to play any position in the secondary without a hitch, he's the guy that your favorite QB fears, and all Cardinals fans love. If JT stays healthy, I can only see astronomical things for his future. He should have been a Pro Bowler twice in his career already, but he's largely overshadowed by Budda Baker, who I would say arguably they're on the same level in terms of play on the field, which is scary because Budda Baker is a beast, and JT may even be a better ball hawk. Or is that just because they don't throw the ball Budda's way? Budda Baker is elite last year. In 12 games, he had 87 tackles and 5 TFLs. That's a down year for Budda. But when Budda is at his best, he's your favorite running back's worst nightmare. He's your favorite quarterback's worst nightmare. He's your favorite tight end's worst nightmare. He has no regard for his own body and will flip any offensive player. It could be 6'5", 300 pounds, no matter what size, on their head. And under their seat this year, the Cardinals drafted the safety out of Texas Tech, Rabbit Taylor Demerson, a hard-hitting ball hawk who can fly around the field and has the versatility to play multiple positions within the secondary. I think the Cardinals secondary can sooner rather than later can develop into something special. The Cardinals have, from top to bottom this offseason, improved drastically defensively. The question is, can the Cardinals mimic what the Chiefs did in 2022? And the answer is, I don't know. But you know what I do know is that we brought in a lot of good veteran leadership. We killed it in the draft, and I know we're relying on a lot of young guys to take year 2 jumps to get us where we want to be. But hey, that's what great teams do, right? They develop. And frankly, I like what we're developing. Alright guys, I hope you liked the video. Make sure you like and subscribe and to give me some ideas on what I should talk about next. Again bro, if you haven't subscribed already, your ego is seriously overinflated. Nah, I'm messing with you. Peace.